Okay, I think we're live. So I am going to get started. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while. I don't think I've seen you guys in this group for a month, which is my bad. I need to be a little bit better about getting in here. But I'm so excited to start the month off with you and spend this time with you and kind of get into the energy of February and what we have going on. And I have been channeling all day long. So I'm in the space. I'm in the space. So we'll see what goodness is going to come from this today. I can't believe it's already the second month of the year, and we're stepping into the year of the tiger, Aquarius energy. All these different things and shifts and changes are happening. So I am going to just dive in because I think it's so much easier um, this way. So let's see. For February, what's going to be the card for February? How did your January go? Before I pull a card, going through that Venus retrograde, going through, a little bit of Mercury retrograde, like all the different things. It was intense. Like, I really do feel like there's a little bit of an intensity. I don't know if you guys feel that. And if you're joining me live, say hi in the comments. Um, but yeah, we're coming out of this time when we were in Venus retrograde, of like really seeing how we show up in love to ourselves, with others, our boundaries, our self-worth. And being that it was in Capricorn, there's work to do around it. And it's like really grounding and work to see like how we're showing up. So I'm just so curious how that landed for you. I know for me personally, my boundaries and my value and my worth definitely strengthened, and the way I want to show up in a relationship and what, all of that stuff was just so huge. So yeah, how was your January? I'm so curious. Okay, so for February, oh, we're starting off at the bank. We got the conflict and defeat card. Woo! So it's a 5 card. It's about changes. So sometimes when we see these cards, it's like, oh my gosh, that seems kind of like heavy or negative. But it's not. It's not. Because let's be real. There is a lot of conflict happening in the collective. So, okay, there's that. And what do we do when we have conflict? We create change. Chaos bursts new things. As a matter of fact, whenever we feel like something's not working, it ignites change. It asks us to move forward and to do different things. So this month, in some ways, this month feels kind of softer, like there's not such a big energy. It's not like I feel like January was kind of intense, and then we like started off with a bang. Like this year, it's like, whoa. The energy feels like it's going to be lighter. I feel like there's going to be this opportunity with our mental thoughts and our mental body to shift the narrative. So anywhere that you are having conflict, anywhere that you feel defeated in your life, like, how long are you going to allow yourself to stay in that story? Because the energy is going to be moving forward in February. There's like this like big force of energy that's going to be happening, and I think it's going to like either like kind of like I get this like vision of like, like a little cat when she picks up her little baby kitten, she picks her up, picks him up by the neck and just kind of grabs them, and it could almost be like, oh, and that the energy like just wants to grab you and move you forward, and just like if you're not ready for it, it may feel a bit abrupt. But really what's happening is, astrologically, there's a lot of the planets are going to move forward. We have the Mercury retrograde going forward on the 3rd. And it's kind of like, what did you learn? What are the things that are the gap in your life, or the deficit that you really want to change? How do you want to move out of internal conflict and create peace within? So it's going to be a really powerful month to do that and to change the meaning that you've assigned to the stories in your life. Because the meaning that you've assigned the stories are what creates your reality. And it feels like you're going to be letting go of the places that you feel prohibit you from being your best self. So I think this is really exciting. There's a lot of opportunity to work on trauma like that you have had in the past that has made you feel kind of defeated in certain ways in certain aspects of your life. Like this is a month to really change that narrative and to do some deep healing work. And I feel like there's a lot that's going to be happening with systemic aspects of you. So systemic, is like your roots, your family, where you come from, and the healing that's available to you when you go to the root. So anytime we have a problem, right? Like sometimes we see, it's like if you see a glacier, you just see the tip of the iceberg, right? But really what this is asking for us is to go to the root system and to create change and to trust that, like, whatever the weeds are, that are in your garden. Like I want you to think about this month, you're planting this beautiful garden for your life of all the things that you want to create. We're in Aquarius energy. It's forward moving, it's futuristic, it's innovation. But if you're planting a garden and there's some weeds in it, right? The first thing you want to do is you want to get rid of the weeds so that it doesn't overrun what you're trying to grow, what you're trying to cultivate for yourself. So don't let yourself get caught up in the bigger narratives. Like really be mindful of your garden and what you're planting. Like don't let the weeds come in and destroy all of that. Be highly aware of the systemic issues that have been with you for a really long time, your patterns and your programming that are asking to be shifted so you can align to that future version. Because that future vision that you have for yourself of like where you want your life to go, because yesterday was the new moon on the 31st. We're still kind of in that energy for the next 2 to 4 weeks, right? 2 weeks at least to the full moon. And it's really, Aquarius is about thinking out of the box. And so if you're thinking out of the box about what you want for your life, like I really encourage you and invite you to think really big. Like what would your life look like if you really wanted to make a big shift? And if that's the case, if you're planting seeds of intent, is your current thinking and current way of being supportive of that or prohibitive? So that's the question. Like every time you're making choices and getting forward momentum for your life this month, I want you to think about like what's bringing you closer towards what you want to see happen in your life in the future and the innovation and what you're creating, or what's drawing you and pulling you back to the past. Because it's going to be apparent when we have all this forward motion coming here pretty soon. So this first week, we're dealing with the new moon, and we have this Capricorn stellium. So there's lots of new beginnings. Mars, Pluto, Venus, and Mercury are all in Capricorn until February 15th. And Capricorn is the goat, and it's the energy of, it's really grounding energy, and it's really ambitious energy, and it really wants to move forward on things. And so you're going to have a couple weeks of, really starting these new ways of being, right? So make sure that anything that is, like I said, taking you away from that, that's where we're going to be shifting and elevating and doing micro tweaks. So let's see what this first week holds for us. We have a power day tomorrow too, because it's 2/2. Fun. So we have the Magician, which makes sense because we're going into the space of manifesting these new beginnings. We're in that, like I said, that futuristic Aquarius energy. And with everything moving forward and moving direct and all of that kind of stuff, you're going to find that there's going to be things rapidly coming together. That's what I hear. Rapidly coming together. Um, Quantum shifts. And what I mean by quantum is just like maybe it's something that you've really been holding the frequency for, and all of a sudden it just happens like faster than you thought, quicker than you anticipated, coming in your reality. Um, and almost in that, what I see is like there's a little bit of a dismantling. Like it kind of might bowl you over a little bit because it happens so fast. And so there's like a having to stabilize and emotionally regulate to the new energies of the magician. So the magician is, the energy of having all the resources to call in and create what you want, to co-create with the divine. That there's nothing outside of you, that it's all within, and it's all about the energy that you're able to focus and be intentional with that will create it, right? So I love this energy because I feel like this is going to be setting the tone for a lot of, I feel like this week is a really big week to set the tone for the year, actually. To get very deep clarity on, obviously how you want to feel this year. I always talk about that, but like really the energy that you want to play in. And it's so fun because it's not like like I want to just like have like these goals or things happen. It's not that kind of energy. It's like it's big energy. It's like big shifts, big changes. Because if you have really allowed the Venus retrograde to work its magic on you, which means you've gotten an opportunity to understand your boundaries, what you really want, what you value, what is worthwhile to you, then you probably should have some clarity on what it is that you want in your life, right? And so if you can see it, you can build it, right? And of course, like you might not have all the details, but it's really just like getting in the energy of like your soul and imagining. And there's a deep call, like the conflict and defeat for this week with this card comes in where you're going to feel defeated if you're continuing to create from your ego. We're moving into this energy where we have to simplify things and create from our soul, which is connected to our heart energy, and having that, that coherence, that really strong frequency that you're going to send out to the quantum field. So this week, try to be, doing meditation where you go into your heart. It's not from your head, it's not from your ego, it's not from what you think you should have. I was sharing with a client this morning that it doesn't matter how old you are, but sometimes we're still creating from these old, outdated paradigms and programs of our parents. And we don't even realize, like, we're still operating from these old childhood wounds. And we're doing what we think we should do or what society would deem would be the right things for us. And I encourage you to really release that this week, to like really step into what does my soul want? And if you were to create from that place of that feeling, imagining what joy that would bring, because we need more of that. We need much more of that energy. So this is about soul creation, being able to manifest quickly and have lots of shifts. So I want to speak to like this last piece about rapid manifestation and when you get the thing that you want, but it happens really fast. This happened earlier. I remember like last year, I think it was like in July, I saw this energy too. And essentially, I want you to take really good care of yourself, because if you are in this portal of manifestation and creation, like co-creation, you have to be willing to feel it all. And you're going to feel like a little bit of the bumpy, like part of the conflict energy this week too is when you're calling in what you want. It's the good, right? But there might be like, but how do I have this? Or how do I do this? Or how do I maintain this? It's like you could get really in the mental body of thinking about like how. And it's like, don't worry about the how. Focus on what really feels good about what you're calling in and asking for more of, like, say to the divine, I want this and more, this and better. Like, this feels really good. And although it's going to ask me to change my life in certain ways, I'm not going to focus on what I'm letting go of, or what in my reality may feel a little bit conflicting with the thing I want. I'm just going to stay focused on the thing that I want to bring in, and I'm going to emotionally regulate myself so that it can hold the frequency. I got to get these cards now because I just knocked them off my desk. Hold the frequency of the energy that you want. Hold on 1 second. I'm just throwing cards, and I got the heart chakra card when I threw the cards. Oh my god, I'm like then I just like ran my knee into my desk. I'm a hot mess. Sheesh. So this is just further confirmation to manifest from your heart, okay? And then allow yourself to hold all the energy and not get too caught up in the mental body of like how you're going to create all the things. Like, just trust it. Just have fun with it. So get clear. Like, what do you want to create? This, especially with this Aquarius energy, like it is so, Aquarius is the rebel. You know, if you were to rebel against what you, I was sharing this yesterday in my my Soul Lab membership portal. If you knew you wanted to create something and you wanted to get out of your comfort zone, like what would you do? And I was suggesting, like, one of the things that I really want to do this year is have a deeper level of embodiment. So I went recently to this dance, somatic dancing thing at the park. It was super fun. It was so different than anything I've ever done before. And then I'm signing up for an S Factor retreat this year. And I'm thinking about who I want to become, what I want to manifest, and what are the things that I can do where I'm saying yes to those like little yeses going forward, showing the universe that I'm stepping into this, saying yes really to myself and to my future self. You know, saying yes to my future self is what I'll say. So I want you to think about that. Like, what are the things that you could do and put into motion this week that would allow you to get closer to what you want to grow in your life? Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, just Mercury moves direct by the 3rd and the 4th of this week. And then we're going to go into the 7th. We're still going to be in that Capricorn stellium for almost the whole next week. Okay, so let's see. Okay, oh, look at it, how fun. We get to play with the devil. Oh, the devil. It's coming to get us. No, just kidding. I used to be so afraid of the devil when I went to Catholic school. I was like, the devil! Ah! Now I see it. I just pulled this in a reading just a little bit ago that I was doing for one of my coaching clients. So it's the temptation. It's the addictive patterns. So if we're working with this card and we're just coming out of a week of manifesting and all this kind of stuff, so what does the devil mean in relation to this? Well, it's those addictive patterns and tendencies that want to keep you stuck in the old, right? And so noticing from I'm going to say it from all levels, like your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. Like, where are you staying addicted to something? What are your, like this week, like look at your addictions. So what are the beliefs and stories that are keeping you rooted to a past version of yourself? Because this card is very much addressing that and thinking about, and that could make you feel defeated if you're trying to manifest stuff and you're trying to move into like a new, to some new beginnings, and you're in this beautiful grounding Capricorn stellium where all the energy is moving forward, but yet you still have this part of yourself where you might have like a belief that causes you to self-sabotage. That's how most of these things show up, right? Which could be very like defeating. And so I want you to just kind of like think of like a fine-tooth comb. You're combing energetically through your life and you're noticing, what are the beliefs and things that are keeping me looping? What is that addictive pattern that I have that's sabotaging my ability to move forward, my ability to have peace and to have joy? And it's interesting because what I'm feeling with this one has to do with loving yourself. It's still the territory of the heart. I mean, isn't everything about the territory of the heart? But that's what I'm feeling in this. Is like it takes me right into my heart, and I'm seeing the ways that we neglect ourselves or parts of ourselves because those parts of ourselves don't feel worthy of being in the light. But it's only when we bring them to the light that we're going to be whole, that we can really receive the things that we want. So this week, you're going to have an opportunity to go into your heart. And I would really highly suggest doing a meditation this week, starting the week off with a meditation, maybe pulling some cards for yourself, going in and imagining that in the meditation, maybe you're in a forest and you're going to ask your higher self as you're journeying, maybe you're just going down into the forest, to show you the version of you that is not allowing you to move forward, the version of you that is still sabotaging your current progress. So see what age she is. Is she 16? Is she 4? How old is this version of you, or he? And reconcile with that part of you that continually will kind of show up in the shadows and want to sabotage. And it could be something where it's like so random, where it's like, it's food. For a lot of us, it's food. For some of us, it's like not taking care of your health. It could be when you're feeling really good in your relationship space, like you throw, a grenade into it because you're not trusting the progress or the ability to be vulnerable with somebody. And these are all things that are territory of the heart, right? When we love ourselves, we take care of our physical bodies. We show up vulnerably in relationships. We give our all and our gifts to our work, and we live in our purpose, in service to other people. But if there's a part of you that's still operating within you that's like, I'm not worthy of that, I'm going to sabotage that because I don't feel comfortable in that. You must identify systemically the version of you that's doing that to you. It's not somebody outside of you doing anything to you, by the way. If you think it's somebody outside of you, they're just a character in your movie, babe. Like, they're just showing up for you to, like, reflect back to you some truth or something that you need to learn. I'm not saying that I'm not saying you're creating every single thing that other people are doing. But this is about taking self-responsibility and just looking at our own lives and what we can control, what we can work on. We can't change other people outside of us. We can change the dynamics energetically of some of the things happening outside of us when we shift the dynamics internally. So this week is an opportunity to let go of self-sabotage, to let go of the ways that you can't consistently move forward past that glass ceiling. And this is a week that you can make massive progress with it. Massive, because it's like the energy, the astrology is pulling you forward. It's like, yes, let's do this. Let's get this done with. Like, let's manifest and let's have some fun and let's move forward in our lives. Let's let go of this sabotage because it's not serving anymore. And it's causing us, like, you to kind of just, be at a certain level when really what your soul is like, I want to expand and I want to grow. So the meditation I was saying is see where, what version of you. And if you need help with this, like, ask yourself, like, where am I not growing in my life? Like, it should be pretty obvious to you, like, where you're not seeing forward momentum, and do the it's like family, faith, finances, and fitness. Like, think of the 4 F's. Your fitness is your mental, emotional fitness, your well-being, your body, your faith, your spirituality, your ability to connect to yourself, your consciousness. Your family includes your friends, all your relationships, all that kind of stuff. And your finances, your business, how you make money, how you show up, and all of that stuff. So just think about, like, what area do I keep continually sabotaging? And am I willing to put down that story? Because it doesn't work anymore. And then do that meditation. And love on that version of you. Take her out of the shadows. and bring her back to you and start taking really good care of her so she doesn't need to sabotage you anymore. So that's the 7th, the week of the 7th. So then we go into the week of the 14th. We're going to have a full moon that week. And then I think, let's see. Yeah. Okay. So the 14th, I hope you guys can hear me okay because my computer is acting a little crazy. We got the Trapped in Fear card, which once you've identified your shadows, then this week you get the opportunity to release yourself. To release yourself from the internal prison, if you will, of your thoughts, of your fears. And so this card to me means you make a plan to move forward. You create a new storyline. So what I was saying about the week before, if you can identify how you're sabotaging yourself, this week I want you to think about, like, who would you be without that storyline? Who would you be if you were to shift and be on the opposite side of this? So if you had a story that you had, your inner 16-year-old is sabotaging your growth because, you were bullied when you were 16 and you don't feel worthy and you have a hard time loving yourself and speaking your truth, let's just say, then what I want you to focus on, you had released it that week of the 7th. You got really clear on your addictive patterns and what's holding you back. Then this week, it's the releasing, it's the letting go, it's the moving through it, right? It's creating a new story for yourself of, like, okay, on the future side of this, if I'm not living in that same paradigm of, like, being scared to speak my truth, like that 16-year-old version of you, who are you in the future where she's loving herself, she's expressing herself, she's showing up fully, or he, and whatever the opposite is of the story that you were telling yourself in the past. I want you to live in the high frequency energy of your future self and, like, write out this week, like, who you get to be when you are adhering to the new story. Because we're moving out of the conflict and defeat. Like we don't need to be in the victim energy of the victim story, right? We don't want to do that. So in order to do that, you have to be clear about who you're going to be on the other side of this. So this is a week of freedom. This is a week of, like, movement and energy and, like, taking the steps to move forward, and create new neural pathways and do new things. It's also a week where collectively we may be figuring out how we're going to get out of our own internal, like, there's a lot happening in the collective. Like, so much of this, like, shadowy energy that's happening in the collective. It's like we don't necessarily always have control over that, but we have control over how we show up, right? And if we can control more of how we show up in our own shadow content and the ways that we feel conflicted and defeated sometimes, and know that we have some power to change our own internal narratives and the way that we're showing up, that gives us the keys to our freedom. And this is such a big, important theme for this week, having the keys to our freedom, not relying on stuff outside of ourselves to give us the freedom, like making a choice. And for some of you, it's really going against the grain. Like, for some of you, it's like stepping out and being like, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not listening to this stuff that is being told to me. Like, I'm gonna figure out, like, what my own truth is. I'm gonna rebel. So yeah, there's a big freedom energy this week of the 14th. And then on a side note, it's also Valentine's that week. So, for some of you, I want you to think of, like, your relationship to yourself. I always think of Valentine's as a self-love holiday. And of course, it's a holiday just to share with your beloved too. And if it's a self-love holiday, in the theme is freedom, and you've been doing this work on yourself to get yourself out of feeling trapped in your life. Like, what does it look like to liberate yourself even further, to create more freedom? And I don't know about you guys, but freedom to me is freedom to be myself. It's to be my authentic, true self, outside of the expectations of other people. And there's so much expectation right now in the collective, so much of who's on this side or that side. And I don't adhere to any of it, as you all probably know. I don't care. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I don't adhere to all these things, or vax or no vax. Like, I'm rising above that. Like, I want to see the narrative beyond that distortion that keeps us looping in dialogues and fighting and all that stuff. Like, that's not where I want to put my energy. I want to put it on what's possible. And I'm not saying I don't care about some of that stuff, but I also don't want to be trapped in a loop of conversation that's not going anywhere. And sometimes that means disengaging or moving out of, like, the perceived big topic and finding your own way with it. So I don't know what that means, honestly. I don't know. I'm channeling this. I don't know what that means for you. But when it comes to Valentine's and your own personal self-love story, liberate yourself. Like, you've done the work to see the pattern. So if you're going to, align with your future self, right, and be manifesting this month and moving forward on things, continue to push past your perceived limitations and step into more freedom, which is going to allow you to have more power, and step more into your authentic self. And show up in that version of your authentic self to your lover, to your beloved. That is the highest form of being in a relationship, if you ask me. Is like, you get to be witnessed in the potency and truth of who you are. So liberate yourself this week as much as you can, however you can, wherever you're still being shackled into something. Liberation, freedom. And freedom is an internal thing, right? In a lot of ways. So there's that. I feel like I went on a little bit of a rant. Okay, 21st. It's my stepdad's birthday. It's the 21st. Okay. So we got the shadow card, which is the moon card. This card's fun. This is, this card, there's the dark and the light, right? There's the past and the future. There's the ego and the higher self. It's the duality. And when we move past duality, we start to see everything so clearly. I don't know about you guys, but to me, being in the channel, like being connected to source and being in that, I start to see beyond, what's really just playing out. And that's in any aspect of your life. It's not just what's happening in the collective. It's also in your relationships, how you're showing up. It's like when we're in the, it's like that saying, like, you can't see the forest because of the trees, like everything's like right in front of you. But when you kind of take an eagle-eye view of things and look from a higher perspective, you start to see things and start to be able to make sense of things and start to understand the co-creation of your reality and the movie that's playing out, if you will, that you're actually directing. And that those cast of characters that are in this movie have been they're there for a reason, like it or not. And starting to understand, if you want to shift your reality, to make really, like, have a deep understanding of the movie that you're creating. Like this week, like, we get our psychic senses will be really high. There's going to be a beautiful opportunity for a lot of healing and moving, past the energy of just like staying in the duality and the Maya and the illusion. There may be a beautiful opportunity this week to to just come to a beautiful space of healing within yourself, just to feel at peace, to feel like you get that psychic nugget that you've been looking for, that sometimes we're searching for, that would just help us make sense. I call it like it's like the psychic puzzle piece. Like you have a puzzle, it's your life, and there's that piece that you're like, I can't figure that out. Like, why do I keep operating like that? Why do I keep showing up like that? And it's just like that little missing puzzle piece. Like when you plug that in, everything, you see everything clearly. It makes more sense. You can move forward. It elevates you. It's optimistic because you're like, oh, I get it. So it feels like this last week of February, being that it's a shorter month, you get it. Something, you get a piece that helps you move forward, and it feels really, really good. It feels really, really, really great, because this whole month, if the theme of the card was conflict and defeat, which is not like the most positive, but like if you're moving away from feeling conflicted or defeated, of course something's gonna have to make sense. Of course you're gonna step into the empowered version of you, right? You're not gonna be operating from the victim mentality. You're gonna have had a whole month of really being in the energy of creation, as the magician, seeing your patterns, letting go of how you've been feeling trapped and stepping into more freedom, and then finally understanding why it all was like that, like understanding on a greater level of like that missing piece. So it feels like this energy is like there's lots of forward momentum. There's lots of energy around love. There's lots of energy of loving ourselves so that we can love others more, seeing the truth of things within ourselves so we can operate at a higher octave with other people. So it's just, it's beautiful. I'm really excited for this month and for what it offers. I feel like every month, we have an opportunity to heal, which means come back home to ourselves. And every month has a different flavor based on the astrology, right? And I love Aquarius. Like I have a lot of Aquarius in my chart. It's ruled by Uranus. It's a planet of change and surprise and unexpected things. And this energy feels a lot of like there's unexpected changes and things that catapult us forward. And I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. And just learning how to emotionally regulate ourselves within all that change so that we can be our best selves, because that's what it always boils down to me, if you ask me. The biggest thing that we can have is safety within ourselves. Safety is within our physical body, so that we can withstand the divine fluctuations of life and stay as a co-creator, even when we're facing conflict, even when something doesn't work, when you feel defeated, saying this is happening for me instead of to me. That's when reality moves and shifts and operates in a way that continues to bring you beautiful blessings, even in the difficulties. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you have a beautiful February. I can't wait to see you more in this group. Sending you lots of love. Thank you.